On Amtrak's Northeast Corridor, you can ride a variety of trains from the high-speed Acela all the way down to EMU commuter trains. On Memorial Day of 2024, we're at New Haven Union Station in search of the oldest operating passenger cars on Amtrak. We start, however, by catching southbound Acela service train number 2271, making their station stop at New Haven Union Station. As the 2271 departs, we see our main target of the day entering the station. Amtrak cab car number 9649 leading Amtrak Hartford Line train number 450.
Scheduled to depart at 10:38.
We would get on this train bound for Hartford shortly, but in the interim, let's take a quick look at New Haven Union Station. New Haven Union Station was built in 1920, making the structure over 100 years old. It was heavily rebuilt in 1985 after the Northeast Corridor Improvement Project. The station consists of a main hall with ticketing offices, restaurant spaces, a waiting area, and tunnels to the tracks. Back on the platform, we would take a quick look at the 9649, which would be leading our train north this morning. The 9649 was ordered by the Pennsylvanian Railroad in 1966 and built for the Penn Central in 1968 as Metroliner number 807. This cab car and all of the other cab cars that we encounter in this video are 56 years old, making them the oldest pieces of equipment a passenger can ride on Amtrak. The only car that is older in the fleet is Pacific Patrol, a company officer car built by Budd in 1950. On board, we would depart from New Haven Union Station right on time, heading up to Hartford, Connecticut. We decided on Hartford as our destination as it would allow us to see a few of the CT commuter trains before getting back on our southbound Amtrak Hartford Line train. Unfortunately, only the trailing coach was opened up on our northbound run, so we are riding an Amfleet 1 numbered 82763 with Amtrak P42 number 116 pushing on the rear.
Amtrak shuttle service number 460 to Springfield, Massachusetts. We'll be making all stops along the way, first of which is State Street Station, coming up in just about a minute. Door at the front of the car will open here.
At New Haven State Street Station, we would meet a southbound Northeast Regional which would skip this station but stop at New Haven Union Station. Even though we are not in the cab car, we did enjoy some of the K5LA action from our cab car. These cab cars often wear older style K5LAs which give them a classic 90s Amtrak sound. After detraining at Hartford, we would watch as the 9649 led the Hartford Line train out of the station. Included in the departure was use of the classic strobe lights on the roof of the cab car. Hartford Station is now home to some offices and a modern transportation center below the original level of the station. We would take a quick look inside before it was time to go catch our return train. Back on the platform, we were pleasantly surprised to find train 409 coming south into the station with its cab car leading the way as well. Leading this train was Amtrak 9636, with all of its lights and accessories in use, including the headlight, ditch lights, markers, and strobes. In asking the conductor where the locomotive is normally placed for these trains, he stated it was just random. We considered it very lucky that we had a cab car leading both directions on the day we took this quick trip. Shoving on the rear of train 409 was Amtrak P42 numbered 123. We of course boarded into the cab car and went as far forward as we could. The crew had sectioned off an area for themselves and to keep passengers away from the operating cab, which for most of the trip was left with its door open. We were in a set of rear-facing seats towards the head end of the car. Looking back, you would have a hard time telling that you were not in a recently shopped Amfleet 1 coach. Given that these cars were what Amfleets were ultimately based on, this is not surprising. The seats and luggage racks are nearly identical to those found in traditional Amfleets. While at the Berlin station, we would look at our seat. As stated, it is exactly like a rebuilt Amfleet 1 seat. Above, you have the normal luggage rack, and the gray leather seats feature a headrest and armrest on the outside of each seat. Sitting down, I have a decent amount of legroom at 5'9" and plenty of room to stretch out. The traditional Amtrak tray is present in the seat ahead, with room for a computer or small meal. Of course, the customer safety instructions for this car are specific to the cab car and feature an appropriate diagram. The last thing we need to take a quick look at is the restroom. This is located at the rear of the car and is identical to an Amfleet 1 restroom. It features the traditional Amtrak push-to-use sink, toilet, and other amenities. During my visit, the restroom was clean and well stocked on this car. Heading back to our seats, we enjoyed some of the scenery. Between Hartford and Meriden, the train can reach speeds of over 100 miles per hour.
They're kind of young too. They're probably like maybe like in their 30s or early 40s. Sunday.
Looking towards the cab of the cab car, we can somewhat see through the front pair of windows. Unfortunately, both the exterior plate window and the interior center window were absolutely filthy on our trip. We were able to get a not so great view through them from where we were seated. As we approached New Haven Union Station, we took some clips of the K5LA from inside the cab car. Just like our first ride, the 9636 had a classic sounding K5LA on it and a mechanical bell.
So I got another interview. At a steakhouse and wine bar. It's in West Hartford.
Just north of New Haven State Street Station, we would rejoin the Northeast Corridor as we rolled our final miles back to New Haven Union Station. With the Metro North and CT Rail yards coming into view, we would pull back into Union Station right on time.
If you're connected to any other Amtrak service, 135 or to Boston South Station, Metro North or Shoreline East service, you can go down into the station and check the boards for your track. Once again, New Haven Union Station, last final stop. Your track 149 should be located on the same platform.
Exiting the car, we would take a walk through and exit out of the rear door, the interior being exactly like an Amfleet 1.
Come on, let's go.
With their work complete, the 409 heads south off the platform and will enter the New Haven Amtrak yard.
Have your attention, Amtrak passengers, 228 regional service train Washington, D.C. Train 149 will be arriving shortly on track number 1. This train will make the following station stops. Edwards, Station 2, Newark, New Jersey. Newark Liberty Air Force Station, New Jersey. Metro Park, Trenton, 30th Street Station, Philadelphia, welcome to Delaware, multiple railroad.
A short time later, the next Hartford Line train would come out of the yard. Keeping with the randomness of locomotive placement, Amtrak 111 would lead this train north with cab car 9644 bringing up the rear. Before they depart, we would take some detail shots of the former Metroliner cab car. Now in their third form, Amtrak's former Metroliner cab cars have been through 2 major rebuilds in their lives. The most recent rebuild removing the engineer's side door and adding a metal plate in place of the diaphragm that would have allowed passage through into other cars. Taking a closer look, we can see the ditch lights that were added when the cars were originally rebuilt from Metroliners into cab cars. From the side, we can get a better view of the door that was removed and plated over. We also get a nice view of the shape of the cab and the small window. Above the cab, we can see the strobe lights and classic all-forward K5LA horn. The horn and the headlight cluster consist of 2 separated headlights, strobe lights, and an emergency light. Of course, front and center is the K5LA with 5 forward-facing bells and snow cones.
3:00 p.m.
The trucks of the cab cars are also different than that of a traditional am fleet. While they have been rebuilt throughout their careers, they still feature their traditional side bolsters unlike the am fleets that followed them. In our second view, we can see the difference between the 2 styles of trucks between an Am Fleet 1 and the Metroliner cab car. The lead truck is the same as the rear, and we can see some of the additional underbody equipment that also distinguishes Amtrak's cab cars from other am fleets. After viewing the 9644, we would head towards the end of the platform to watch the train depart northbound. With plans to replace cab cars on other Amtrak services, there is no telling how much longer these cars will be in service on the Hartford shuttle or any other Amtrak trains. We were happy to get to ride in a cab car, which will likely be one of the oldest pieces of Amtrak equipment we ever ride in. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video about Amtrak's Metroliner cab cars, do not forget to subscribe for future rail fanning videos.